Hey everyone, today we're going to connect some pretty big dots. Dots that link what's happening in the news headlines all the way to your daily commute. We're going to break down exactly how events thousands of miles away are reaching right into your wallet every single time you fill up. All right, let's get into it.
It's a question that can drive you crazy, right? You're just trying to get to work, run some errands, live your life, and all of a sudden you're paying way more because of something happening on the other side of the world. Well, today we're not only going to answer that question, we're going to look at a real way to break that frustrating cycle for good.
So let's start with what's happening right now. The ongoing conflict between the US and Iran, well, it's a perfect real-time example of how a flare-up overseas can create a direct, painful pinch for millions of us back home.
And here's how that chain reaction works. It all starts with the conflict, which, leads to major disruptions like these strikes on critical oil refineries. Now, that kind of instability totally spooks the global energy markets, and that causes the price of crude oil to just skyrocket. And that final domino to fall, that's the one that hits us, right at the pump. It's an immediate, and let's be honest, pretty painful consequence.
But if you're thinking, wait a minute, haven't we been here before? Well, you're right. This isn't some new, one-time crisis. It is part of a much bigger, recurring problem, a cycle of dependency we keep getting stuck in.
And that really is the key takeaway here. For decades now, because we rely so heavily on gasoline, our personal finances have been held hostage by global politics. It seems like every time there's instability in an oil-producing part of the world, it's the folks driving gas-powered cars who end up paying the price.
This chart just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got gasoline prices. They're volatile, they're tied directly to foreign conflicts, and they have these totally unpredictable spikes. Then you look over on the right at electricity. It's generally stable, it's generated locally, and the costs are way more predictable. I mean, the contrast really highlights the fundamental difference between these two energy sources.
So the big question is, how do we get from that chaotic, volatile side of the chart over to the calm, stable side? Well, the answer really is an escape route, an electric one. In a crisis like this, the advantages of having an electric vehicle become crystal clear. You're just not part of the gas price game anymore. You're charging up at home, usually for pennies on the dollar compared to gas, and you're no longer basing your commute budget on the political stability of another country. It is, quite literally, taking back control. We hear politicians talk about energy independence all the time, but this brings it down to a really personal level. It's not just some big, abstract national goal. It's something you can actually achieve in your own driveway. It's the freedom from having to worry if the next international crisis is going to make your drive to work unaffordable. Now, all of this sounds pretty great. So what's the holdup? What's stopping everyone from making the switch tomorrow? Well, as it turns out, the biggest hurdle isn't what you might think it is. It really boils down to one single powerful fear, and that fear has a name: range anxiety. It's that little nagging voice in the back of your mind that says, but what if I run out of charge? What if I get stranded somewhere? And look, it's a completely legitimate concern. For a long time, it's been the #1 barrier stopping people from going electric.
And the data backs this up. As EV prices continue to come down and gas prices do, well, what they're doing now, the math is starting to make sense for more and more people. The real barrier is psychological. It's that fear of the unknown, the fear of being stuck on the side of the road.
But what if that fear could just disappear? What if there was a new kind of safety net, one designed specifically for this new electric era? Well, that's exactly what we're going to look at next.
This analogy just nails it, doesn't it? A whole new type of service is popping up that is basically roadside assistance but for EVs. A great example is a company called Be Charged EV. They've built a mobile charging network, so instead of calling for a tow truck, they bring the charge directly to you. It's a totally new way to solve that old fear.
And the way these services work is designed to be incredibly simple. Your battery gets low, you pull out an app, you make a request, and a mobile charging unit comes right to your location. It gets rid of the whole need for a tow truck or that stressful search for the nearest station. They give you enough juice to get going, and you're back on your way. So the whole point here, the promise, is that a safety net like this completely removes that what-if scenario from your mind. The idea of having a 24/7 network ready to bring a charge to you whenever you need it, well, it means that fear of being stranded can finally be put to rest. And that brings this whole conversation full circle, right back to you. Because when you combine the technology of modern EVs with the peace of mind from a safety net like mobile charging, the power to choose really does shift away from global markets and right back to your own driveway. I think this quote really gets to the heart of it all.
This isn't just about saving a few bucks or even about the environment, though those things are great. It's about making a personal declaration of independence. Every single person who makes this switch is taking one more car out of that messy geopolitical equation.
And look, this chart just sums up the whole story visually. On the left, you've got the high financial vulnerability of owning a gas car, just totally exposed to these global price shocks. And on the right, you have an EV, backed up by a charging safety net, showing dramatically lower vulnerability. It really represents a move towards security, stability, and just peace of mind.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about, because when you really strip everything else away, that's what this is all about. In a world that feels more and more unstable, having control over your own ability to live your life, well, that's more valuable than ever. And the solution just might be sitting in your garage.